Women don't need to be toned down. Can't believe I need to say that right now. It is 2024. Why do I need to say that? Maybe it's because in this new live action Avatar, every single fucking woman is a piece of cardboard that is insecure with no dimension whatsoever. Maybe that's why. Yes, I am contributing to the sea of video essays about Avatar: The Last Airbender. But we have a fun little exercise. We are looking at this show that has irritated me to no end with the lens of learning from it. Because, my friends, here we are writers, we are filmmakers, we are people who enjoy writing stories, creating things, and want to see better representation in the media. So, we are going to be looking at the female characters in the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender and comparing them to the same female characters in the animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is not just a general analysis. We are going to be looking at female rage and anger specifically, because this is a big problem with this whole adaptation thingy. On top of that, I'm just gonna sprinkle in general female representation, because one of the characters we're gonna be talking about does not have a ton of anger, but also she's an icon, so I'm not gonna leave her out. I can't help myself. She's one of my queens. So we're gonna talk about her because she's iconic. Representation is the thing I love to talk about. I want to clarify that representation is not limited to gender, sexuality, skin color, physical ability, or anything like that. It is simply how we can portray the world in the truest way in the media. In recent years, the networks have decided to negate this. They've decided to negate this as an important thing. I mean, the networks have never really seen it as important, but you gotta live in hope that they will at one point. But that's our job, guys. That's our job. We gotta work for it, unfortunately. So, yes, the networks keep letting us down. Hooray. Most recently, we've seen with the writers' strike, them trying to replace writers with AI. The networks do not seem to actually value good writing. They are just turning out all this shit, and they're like, people will watch it. Doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's gonna last, doesn't mean you're gonna watch it in 10 years and be like, this is still amazing. Like the original show. What? No, I didn't say that. The aim of this video is not to be a downer about the industry. This is a reminder that we are part of the solution. We are here to study the pitfalls. We are here to learn about what we can do to make things better. And I am here to encourage you guys to go after making things better. We want to see better media, so we have to be the ones to go and make it. We need to push the boundaries of these big networks and say that we want better. On that note, let's dive into what was wrong with the live action. Now, I'm going to be looking at 3 specific characters: Katara, Suki, and Azula. We're going to be comparing them between the live action series. We're not looking at the movie. We don't even talk about that. Because, yes, I know people in the comments are going to be saying, it wasn't as bad as the movie. Bro. If you measure from that bar is in fucking hell. We're not measuring from that bar. This was still bad. This was still bad. You can say it. It was still bad. So we are not talking about the movie. We are only talking about the series. We are comparing between the live action series, season 1, and the animated series, the whole thing, because basically they took bits and pieces from the first 2 seasons. So, yes. That is what we were dealing with. And I am going to be talking mainly about the portrayal of female rage, but also branching into other parts. So, let's get into it. Let's start with Katara, the main girl. Now, Katara is the maternal figure of the group. While at the same time, she is quite fiery. We literally have an episode where she steals a waterbending scroll because she's so hell-bent on learning waterbending and so pissed off that Aang is better than her that she literally steals from pirates. And the main example for me of how dirty they did Katara was in the second last episode of the live action. It was the fight between Katara and Pakku. Now, there are a lot of examples of me being, like, pissed off about how dirty they did Katara. But this one really put the nail in the coffin. I was like, how? Oh, that bad. That bad. That's bad. That really bad. Because, when I was watching the last 2 episodes, admittedly, it did take me a long time to watch the last, like, half of the season. Because it felt so painful. It was really a struggle. But in the last 2 episodes, of course, we have them arriving at the Northern Water Tribe, and we have all the stuff between Katara and Pakku, where she wants to learn waterbending, where in this case she just wants to fight, which is dumb, but okay, he won't stop you. Like, how could he stop you? The fight between Katara and Pakku did not hit the same. And I know probably people are going to be in the comments being like, it's not the same, they have to change things. But no. No. I'm not taking that as an argument. We are saying the main reason that this was bad was because they literally took the anger out of Katara. They took the sexism out of the Northern Water Tribe because they didn't want to offend people. And so they took away Katara's anger. And that whole fight scene felt so pointless. It felt like there was no emotional drive behind that fight scene. Whereas in the original, it was so emotionally charged. You could feel Katara's anger so much because you understood where she was coming from. The whole idea of taking away the passion in a character is so ludicrous. I don't understand the idea of holding female characters back. This is something that I do personally struggle with when writing, because writing anger is quite tricky when society tells you not to be angry. So as like a female writer, you're like, oh no, that's not something that I can do in my normal life. So how could I write that for my characters? How could that even be possible? I can't even imagine a world where I could do that. But seeing characters do that makes you aware of that programming that society has put into our heads. It is such a powerful tool in order to unlock a part in your audience's brains. And clearly Netflix didn't want to do that because translating that to live action would make it so much easier. I know it probably wasn't in their minds. If it was, then that's really maniacal and messed up. But The idea that you can have that in an animated show that was aired on Nickelodeon, but you can't have it in a live action Netflix show is a very strange message to send, because it sends the message that, yes, you can see that in a drawing, but you can't see it in actual people playing it on screen, because that would be too close to reality and might give people ideas. In addition to this, they completely strip the backstory of Katara. I know they include like the backstory of her mother dying for her, which literally is in season 3 of the animated show. Like, what are you doing? Like, we didn't need to know this right now. But they take away the concept that Katara had to become the maternal figure in her family. They don't give any hint of that. They don't have Sokka, like, not pulling his weight and just focusing on being a warrior. So her backstory doesn't even feel like it's there. It feels like she was created just that second. It does not feel like she is a living, breathing person. She is literally a cardboard cutout of Katara. There is no dimension to this girl. All she wants to do is be a waterbender, and it's like, nobody's stopping you. Just be a waterbender. Go and fight. What's the big deal? This version of Katara is so, like, she is so meek in the live action. I can't even recognize her as the same character. Katara in the animated series is not a girl to be messed with. She is so fiery, she is so opinionated in an amazing way that, yeah, nobody really wants to mess with her. If she cares about someone, she will, like, protect them. Like, she will go all out. Like, girl can be scary. Like, real bad. But where was that? Like, where was it? I didn't see it. One of these characters is a role model, while the other one is a fucking doormat. And which one do you think people are going to latch onto more? The one that just, like, does everything she's supposed to and just, like, goes along for the ride. She's just there to do the thing. Or the one that actually has drive and has her own, like, goals, her own opinions about things. She actually causes conflict within the character, like, the group of characters. I wonder who's gonna be more popular. Let's talk a bit more about the sexism in Avatar. A bit about the Water Tribe. Water Tribe. Now, yes, it came out a little bit before the premiere that they were taking out Sokka's sexism, but this did not talk about the fact that they took out sexism pretty much completely from the show. Yes, there was a little nod to it as Paku was like, that's just the way things are done. Bitch, what? Ugh. I mean, okay. Once I got to the last 2 episodes, I was literally taking notes because I was like, this is the only way I can get through this. I have to write down what I'm thinking. Like, all the things that are pissing me off. In the last 2 episodes, Paku is not an asshole. Which, yes, it feels weird to complain that they didn't make a character, like, piss me off. But it's true. I really like it when characters piss me off. Like, I feel like it's a good response to have. But Paku did not piss me off. He felt like a politician. He was like, I can't do anything about it. My hands are tied. I can't train you. I can't let you fight. It's like, but you're literally, like, one of the leaders. In the animated series, he's literally, like, an antagonist for most of, like, the last few episodes. It's only on, like, the last 2, or the last 1 something like that. He's, in one of the last episodes, he changes sides. But the whole Northern Water Tribe is messed up. Like, their gender roles are out of whack completely. They're very dated. And yes, that is something that is quite uncomfortable, but it brings in so much tension that it isn't there in the live action because they don't give a shit about tension. And it takes away so much from Katara because, one, it doesn't give her a viable excuse to fight Paku because she's literally just asking him to let her fight, which she could do anyway. It's not like he's gonna tear her off the battlefield. Can't even battlefield. And it just, the tension and taking away that tension also takes away even more passion and dimension from Katara's character, because it's just like, oh, he won't let me fight. Big whoop. Like, why do I care? You haven't, like, done anything, girl. What do you want from me? What do you... I feel so infuriated for Katara from the animated series. I'm like, girl, this ain't you. This is not you. Let's move on to Suki. My girl, Suki, was done so dirty in the live action. I cannot believe what they did to her. It is, like, it's... I'm surprised they did her so dirty in so little time. It was almost impressive. Suki is a type of character that we do not see in the media. She is literally a mentor figure for Sokka, but yes, we do see that. We do see female mentor characters, but can you name one where the story never questions their abilities? It never questions their morals or their capabilities at all. Oh, wait. Suki is one of my all-time favorite characters in Avatar. And all-time overall. Her and Toph tied for first place. Suki in the original is such a confident woman. I don't even know how old she is. She's probably like 16 or something. Anyway, not the point. She is such a confident character. And she carries herself with such presence and doesn't take shit from Sokka. And that is her whole thing. She is so, like, confident in herself that she literally beats his ass. And that is so important. I think it's such an important thing to show that women can be in positions of power, like Suki, where she is the leader of the Kyoshi warriors, and not take shit from men who talk down to her. It is so hard in so many different industries to stand up for yourself as a woman when men are not treating you well and not seeing your value. I do speak from experience about this. It is fucking irritating and can really break you down completely. And seeing characters like Suki who stand their ground and know what they are doing, do not crumble under scrutiny from men who do not know what they are doing, is so important. And again, the fact that Netflix decided that this could not be translated into live action is really messed up. In film, nothing is accidental. So that was a deliberate choice. The messaging that this live action gave to women, I can't even deal with it. I feel like there is such an overlooked area of what messages you are sending to your audience in stories, I don't understand why it is so overlooked. Writers need to be conscious of the messages that they are sending to their audience. It is so important because shows like this, and especially ones aimed at younger audiences, maybe like, yes, Game of Thrones audience, probably like 18 up. But still, it doesn't matter the age range. Sure, with kids' TV, your brains are more susceptible, but all throughout our lives, you are going to be met with these situations, and having a character that you can look at in real life as like an actual person, not like a animated character, is so important. I can't even, if they actually had Suki as she was in the animated series, I would have cried. I would have literally gotten choked up, because seeing a character like that on screen in live action would be so powerful to me. And yet the character that we got was this flirting, flustered puppy of a character who was literally only there to lift up Sokka, which was literally the opposite of what she did in the animated show. No, I don't accept this. This is not Suki. This is some imposter. I don't care. I don't accept it. No. This is not like, imagine if that was how Suki was in the original. She would not be as popular. This girl was a boss. And now in the live action, I don't even care if we see her again, because she's just a tool for the writers to be like, oh, Sokka's so great. I don't care about Sokka. I don't care if his male ego is bruised for 2 seconds, where he has literally done nothing the rest of the time. I care about seeing empowered characters that help other characters on their journey. That was Suki's whole role in her first episode. The flirting scenes between Suki and Sokka in the live action made me actively roll my eyes. Like, I can't even rewatch them. When I watch other people's videos about the show and they talk about that part, I'm like, yeah, let's totally talk about that. Physical attraction is not the only way people can be attracted to each other. I get it. You were going for the Game of Thrones audience, but that doesn't mean you have to put these supposed 16-year-olds on top of each other. What was the point of that? The beauty of Sokka and Suki's relationship is that it developed quite naturally over time, and their relationship at the beginning was very, cheeky, and I wasn't, you're not really sure if they're flirting, you don't know what's going on. Suki kisses him on the cheek at the end, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And, yeah, that was about it. And I'm fine with that. It's all good. We don't need them literally falling all over each other. I can't even deal with puppy Suki. Netflix seemed so scared to give any character a flaw. And this is not limited to the female characters. All the characters were so flawless, or they were made too sympathetic. It was a weird juxtaposition where they were like, you have to like everybody. You can't hate anyone. And, you can't even hate the villains? Not having flaws in your characters sucks. And this is something that I've discovered in my own writing, because, literally, I'm going into each character being like, what is their flaw? What can make them more human? Because when I look at characters like Katara, like Suki, like Azula, yes, Azula does have flaws, but okay, if we look at Katara in the animated series, she was very, I'm trying to figure out how, like, what would be seen as a flaw? She was jealous in the Waterbending Scroll episode. She does get very jealous. And she has a very fiery temper. She gets mad quite easily, as we see in like season 2 when she clashes with Toph. And those are some big flaws. I'm using air quotes because I don't really see them as flaws. They're just character dimension. When we like classify them as flaws, it makes it sound like they have to grow out of them, which I don't feel like they do. I feel like it's just like adding another layer onto their character. Taking these away really leaves you with not a lot to work with. It does not leave a lot for them to do, and also does not lend itself to a lot of tension going into later storylines. I am curious if they bring in Toph. I am partly scared of what they're going to do with her, and also how the dynamic between Katara and Toph is going to be portrayed, because in the animated series, those two did not get on at first. They did not get on well at first. It was a rocky start, to say the least. And not having Katara's fiery temper in the first season doesn't bode well. It's a whole part of her personality, her passion, and her need to help people, and her need to be heard. It's so important, and I don't understand why they got rid of it. It doesn't make sense. Removing flaws from female characters in general does send a weird message to the female audience. It sends the message that women can't be these things. They can't be all these things at once. That's unrealistic. You have to show one thing. You have to be motherly, or you can be assertive. You can be a badass, but you have to also like succumb to gender norms. Like Suki, you have to fall over yourself when you're around a man, and it's disgusting. I almost said revolting, and then disgusting. It's ridiculous, disgusting, revolting, everything. It doesn't lend itself to dimension. It doesn't lend itself to good storytelling, because you are limiting a certain amount of your characters to just the status quo, and you're not challenging your audience to think about things. Now let's quickly move on to Azula. Now, Azula, not supposed to be in season 1. I'm still kind of confused as to why they did that. I don't understand why Azula needed to be in season 1, because the only thing she was there to do was to build sympathy, which is a stupid reason, because we do not need sympathy for Azula. I stand by that Azula needs to be a plain villain. I don't care. I will stand by it that Azula needed to be left alone. She is an amazing villain. She is so terrifying and so brutal. I fucking love it. She is the kind of character that you love to watch but would be terrified to be in the same room as. The live action, on the other hand, could not have us fear Azula or even marvel at her confidence, because they literally took her character and made her this very insecure young woman. That is the complete opposite of who Azula was in the animated show. Azula was confident to a fault. She was a perfectionist and did not care who she hurt. She was so terrifying because she was so confident. She knew she was the best, and she was like, I know what I'm doing. And that was like, this girl will mess you up. Like, she was not playing around. I'd say we get a glimpse of Azula from the animated show in her very first scene, but that is the most we get. It's over within like 2 minutes. I'm like, where'd she go? Where was my confident queen? She's gone. And now it's just a simpering child. We all understand in the original show that Azula is not someone to be emulated. She is... Girl needs help. She's got some demons. She's got some issues. And that's fine. That's fine. She is painted as the villain. You don't want to emulate the villains. We all know this. And so the act of taking away Azula's confidence, combined with the portrayals of Katara and Suki, continues to send a strange message. It is really that the show does not want to treat its female characters with complexity. It just wants us to be... It wants women to be cardboard. It wants women to be objects. Just be very malleable and manipulative. Manipulatable. Manipulatable? Easily manipulated. We're gonna put it like that. That's what this show wants. It wants women to just be pawns, basically. That's what women are in the live action Avatar. Interesting idea there, Netflix. Take a show with the most complex... Hello. My light just died. Jesus Christ. This is going great, guys. Going great. So we're gonna have some crappy lighting for the last little bit of this video, because I forgot to charge my light. So, yay. Sorry about that. It was great for a while. Now, as I was writing the script for this video, I really realized that this is a problem that has been pretty present throughout recent years, or really throughout most of media, that, yeah, female characters are not really allowed to be angry. If they're angry, they are the villains. And in this case, even the villains aren't allowed to be full out angry. No female character in this show is allowed to be angry. When it comes to live action, and in this case, like, adapting an animated series into live action, it's like, sure, you might need to tone it down a little bit for believability, but taking it away completely really sends a bad message. Don't be angry, girls. Don't be angry, because that is unladylike. Don't give a shit. As someone who grew up shy and actively suppressing anger, my anger would come out as, like, crying, which seems like the only acceptable way for women to be angry is to be overly emotional. Overly emotional. Because that's the stereotype, is that whenever a woman is angry, she'll just start crying. And yes, I did fall into that stereotype. But that is because that is the only way women are shown to be angry without being vilified. How about we change that, guys? How about we change that? I think that would be a good idea. I feel like that would be fun. I need to see more female rage in the media. And female rage that is shown in a positive way. I feel like that is a real challenge for writers because of this concept of women being put into this box that if you are angry, you are bad. You are a bad woman because you are upset. And that is simply wrong, because women have all the emotions. We have a full emotional range. And the idea of seeing more women in media who are allowed to be actively angry, have the full range of emotions in in our stories is so important. Representation is how we see what is possible in our lives. It teaches us so much. The media does reflect back at us. It is basically a mirror. It reflects what we can do because it really shows us what society is going to allow us to do. So being writers, being creators, we have the power to shape how people see themselves, how they can show up in the world, and really push the limits of what we think we can do. And that is how we can change things. Stories can change the world. It kind of feels cheesy to say, but it's true. Stories can change so much. There are so many films, TV shows, books that I have consumed within my life that really have changed so much for me. And that is all because of the emotion that they make us feel. It's about the message that they carry and really what they teach us. I want to give everyone watching this a little challenge. When you are writing your next story, I want you to look at your female characters and ask how you can challenge your view of them. Are there any emotions that you're holding them back from expressing? Is there a good reason for that? Or is it simply something that you feel uncomfortable writing? If it is the latter, I challenge you to look into that deeper, because that is a signal that you want to write about that, but it is scary. It's something that you haven't seen before, and so you don't know how to tackle it. It's something that you don't know how to envision. So dive deeper. The great thing about writing is that we can dive into our own minds and look at our own thought process, our own views on society and gender and everything. We can look into it and then share it with the world however we want to. It doesn't have to live in our minds anymore. It can take on its own form as a narrative. And through this exercise, I really want you to look at your own views of the world and channel that into your female characters. Is there a system that they are fighting against? Is there a lot of gender norms? What kind of inequalities or injustices are they fighting against on a regular basis? This is a chance to look at your subconscious editing and really deep dive into what you want to see. That is the key to representation. I've gotten so jazzed by the end of this. I feel like I should just keep going. But I am going to let you guys go. I want you to start working on that exercise. I would love to hear what you are working on down in the comments. If you do the exercise, which I hope you do, what you are working on dismantling in your female characters. Let's work through these elements together. It's gonna be so cool. I can't wait to hear about all the stories that you guys are working on, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye. I just think women. Insert Joe March. Women. Yeah. I need water. I am I feel like I'm repping the water tribe right now. I'm wearing so much blue. And I've got my blue water bottle. Not sponsored. Water tribe.